And I can tell you, we're on death row for another death that the Bible talks about, spiritually speaking, spiritual death. Hell. The place that anyone who does not know Christ, and Christ does not have their name written in the book of life, will go. And you are in death row. And people who are on death row haven't died yet, because they haven't gone to the chair yet. But they're in that place. And that for us is that place if we are in sin. Now, people who are on death row currently, they can't get out. Why? Because they're caged in. They're caged in by bars, right? Well, I've made some bars. Some sins. This is a small sin. And most of these are all listed in the Bible. You can find them. I challenge you to go find them. A small one. Filthy language. Not a big deal. Come on, everybody else is doing it. I mean, what I say, come on. It's, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words never hurt, right? I mean, it's not that big deal. And so, we have little sins, small bars in our life, but we assemble them over our lifetime. These bars. Things that just are in our life that sometimes big, like adultery. Things where we had a relationship on our wife, or maybe even, we're in pornography. Looking at other women other than our wife. Guys, generally not gals, but still. There's bars, there's things that hang us up that keep us from the life that God created us for. And so, when we have control of our life, this is what happens. I start creating a prison, so to speak. There's one. Drunkenness. Though, anybody can do it. But sometimes, if it's drunkenness, it becomes a bar for me. It becomes part of my prison. And there's other sins. There's sins in the Bible. Jealousy. Ooh, jealousy can be a tough one. Jealousy really hurts relationships, right? It destroys relationships. Husbands and wives get divorced over jealousy. People at work sometimes can't work together because of jealousy. And so these bars, I continue to assemble these bars in their places, and my life becomes, again, this cell. A cell in which I can't eventually get out of. If you noticed, there's no door here. If I continue in my sin, if I continue in my hatred toward my neighbor, toward my brother, toward my wife, toward my husband, that's a big bar. Man, and that one will drive us to do all kinds of things we never thought. Do people just get guns and shoot each other just because it's a gun and you got to shoot something? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the problem is not guns in our day and age. Because only a kid that hates will kill someone else. And kids don't just hate people. But boy, it happens over time. And rage. There's one. That can be a big one for some of us. Some of us angry about our boss, our job, our life. Maybe what our parents did to us or didn't do to us, the abuse in our life, or whatever it is. And man, rage can come up, and it's ugly. It looks bad. It's bitter, and it's cold. And it becomes that prison for me. And I keep going in my world. And I keep, there's so many different things in the Bible that, again, go against who God is, what He says and what He does, and what He created us to be. Drug addiction isn't in the Bible. There's no verse that says, don't do drugs. It's interesting that the world still knows that it's bad, don't we? In my life. It becomes, it hangs me up. It keeps me from all kinds of things. This is a big one. Sexual immorality. I'm not sure what we know what that means sometimes. But ladies and gentlemen, we need to know what this means. It's a general term for something that talks about a lot of different specific things. And again, there's pornography, there's, living with my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, and I tell you, it will become a bar. Ladies, if you give up that thing that you have to your boyfriend, he has no need to get married to you. But you've given him everything. And here's one we don't really think about too much: idolatry. We aren't, a lot of us out, this country probably would rather just have no sense of God. People say, well, I just choose not to believe in anything than something, which is kind of ridiculous because you believe in something. You have some basis for the way you live, some basis for your moral code, whatever it is. But idolatry is just anything that would come in the way of my relationship with the Lord. Guys, I love to fish. I love to hunt. But I'll tell you, for this guy, it can become my God. It can become my God. There's a reason why the Sportsman's channel has some of their best videos on Sunday mornings. I could be doing hunting and fishing all the time, and it would become my God, and then I neglect my family, and then, my wife, she wants to come close. Look at this. I can't hardly hug my wife, people. I want to have a relationship with somebody else, but there's something in the way. And even as I teach to you, there's something blocking me from you as a pastor. Sin can do that and does do that in our lives. And it becomes a self-made prison. And this prison, again, has no doors. There is no way out. When people are in drug addiction, there seems to be no way out of that. I know some of you have even been there. And, what is the answer? What can I do? How do I get out of this self-made? I have no one else to blame but myself. And, people even say, well, I'm in this prison. Well, my parents put me here. People, did you know you have a choice? He was imprisoned for you and for me. You see. And the reason he died was because the only way my sin could be dealt with, according to God, was there had to be a sacrifice. You see, some kind of animal sacrifice to deal with my sin, to get rid of it. You couldn't just get rid of sin. But Jesus went through that slander. He understood this prison, this place that we were in. He was handcuffed. He was taken away, led to the slaughter. And he came, he went through all those things that he didn't understand. And so when he did what he did, we'd have no excuses. See, I don't have any excuses with Jesus. There's no factions. All have sinned and all need help and all need a way out. And so Jesus says, I'll go. I'll do it myself. He came himself. One bar after the other, taken down. And for me, for you, for all people that would believe by faith, that would accept the gift. I didn't do anything to earn it. But he came, and the only bar that remains are these two. Right? Bars. He was nailed to. And he was nailed to give me freedom. You see, no longer did sin have power over anyone. It couldn't hold Jesus. And with him living in us by his Holy Spirit, it doesn't have power over me. That's what he wants to give. And instead of death row, they hung a sign over his head, King of the Jews. And what does it say when we become a Christian? Whose name do we take? Jesus. That's all it is. Accepting a new name. Having a new life, a free life. Free of all the bars? No, there's still 2 left. But these are the only ones that people can see. My life became to free from all that stuff, all that junk. And what I can't understand is why we as Christians, we still go back and, oh, let me pick this one up. And, we still are trying to put these back in, ladies and gentlemen. Why do I want to do that? Jesus is like, we're having a wrestling match with Jesus. Give it to me. No, give it to me. No, give it to me. Give it. How depressing is that after a while? It's like turning the light off and on a billion times. You know? I mean, would you rather be in this life or the one I just created with all the bars? I'd rather be in this one. And the thing is, hopefully you can see, this is my vision now. And ladies and gentlemen, we've missed the mark. Why have we missed the mark? Because when I got all these bars, which one do I aim with? Guys, you're hunters. What does that look like to you? You wanna keep from missing the mark? You need the right crosshairs going on here. Not a bunch of crosshairs, one crosshair. And we can do it, but it's through Christ, in Him, that we receive this. You see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. Not for the godly person, not for the holy person, not for the person that's got it together. The ungodly. That means you didn't have God before you had Christ. Christ died. And it says, very rarely will anyone die for a righteous man. Though for a good man, someone might possibly dare to die. But God demonstrates His own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were in the cell of our life, Christ died.